So I seen a video on the simulation theory, right? And I always knew about what it was. I always knew the basic premise of the simulation theory for years, ever since Elon said it or whatever, but I never thought about it because I just never really cared to think about it. But then a video popped up on my recommended with somebody explaining the simulation theory. So I was like, okay, let me go look at this and see what he said. So he was explaining it, using all this, trying to be scientific and all this. And I was like, bro, it took me 2 seconds of actually thinking about it to,
I found this on the web.
okay. It took me 2 seconds of actually thinking about it to realize it makes absolutely zero sense at all. Literally makes zero sense. So let me explain it to you in a way you can understand. So the simulation theory is that we are living in some sort of computer simulation, right? But immediately, as soon as I hear that, I think, how can we possibly be living in a computer simulation? How can that be the theory that people believe? All right, yes, that's what life is, a computer simulation. First of all, the word computer is a human word. The word computer was created by humans. 1,000 years ago, that word didn't exist. So how could we be living in a computer simulation when that concept didn't even exist 1,000 years ago? It doesn't make sense for that reason. And also, a computer itself, the device, didn't exist until like 100 years ago, 200 years ago, not even. So how could we be living in a computer simulation when humans created computers? As far as we know, humans created computers. So how can we be living inside of a computer if we created a computer? How can we, so this is where it loses me, because how can humans try and explain existential concepts using man-made concepts? It doesn't make sense. That's like me, bro. You can't even explain it. It doesn't make sense. You cannot try and explain, you can't explain how life began using technology and concepts that aren't even 500 years old. How is that possible? Like, to me, the Big Bang Theory makes more sense than the simulation theory, and the Big Bang Theory doesn't even make any sense. So I feel like people hear smart people or people they deem to be smart say certain things, or people trying to explain shit using mumbo jumbo science. But then if you just think about it, if you use your head and just think about it, how can we be living in a computer simulation if we created computers? How does that make any sense? You will realize that it doesn't make sense. Like, people don't use their head at all. They just hear somebody say something with, yes, we're living in a simulation. How can you prove that at all? You cannot prove that at all. All these theories, they cannot prove them at all. For a human to truly come up with a concept that, like an existential concept to explain life or explain how we got here or something like that, they would have to be extremely, extremely smart, extremely intelligent to think on a level to be able to come up with a concept without using any human concepts, without using any human, like, I'm not even there yet. I think about that stuff here and there, but I still have yet to come up with a concept for life and how it began or any of that shit without using human concepts. So when people say stuff like, oh, Big Bang, the simulation theory, or any other theory that you have for how the world was created, you have to think about, how can we explain how we got here using things that we made when we already got here? It doesn't make any sense. At least that's how I view it. If anybody can disprove me or tell me where I went wrong in this explanation, please tell me. But to me, none of that shit makes any sense.